welcome back to another Mug Rug Monday. I'm Christine and I'm here at Christie Country Quilts, and today we have an adorable duo for you, which includes our flannel infinity scarf and our matching coffee cup cozy. Both are guaranteed to keep you nice and warm now that the temperatures are dropping here in Wisconsin. Fall is here and there's no use fighting it. So today we are going to get started with the infinity scarf, and then we'll move on to the coffee cup cozy. I'm going to move this out of the way so we can get started. For your infinity scarf, you're going to need a nice flannel of your choosing. Make sure it's good quilting quality flannel, and you'll need 2 yards of it. The best thing is those 2 yards are going to make enough for 2 scarves. So you can make one for yourself and one for your fabric bestie as well as a holiday gift. If you're planning on using that same flannel for your coffee cup, I would recommend getting 2 1/4 yards. That way you can cut off the extra 1/4 yard and you'll have plenty there for your coordinating project. To get started with your infinity scarf, what you're going to need is take your 2 yards of flannel and you're going to cut it in half the long way. So that'll give you a piece that is approximately 22 inches wide by the 2 yards or 72 inches long. I have my flannel cut and prepped already. So again, it's going to leave you a piece that's 2 yards long and about 22 inches wide. I did not cut off my selvage because we're going to hide that in the seam anyway. And the first thing we're going to do is make a French seam or an enclosed seam. This will keep the fraying to a minimum when you go to wash your scarf. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sew a 1/2 inch seam all the way down this long edge, and when we get to the bottom, we're going to sew across the bottom as well. So keep this top edge open, wrong sides together. It's going to look weird at first. So wrong sides together, leave your top edge open, and sew a seam all the way down the long edge and across the bottom. All right, we have our long seam done, and again we sewed across the bottom on this edge as well. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim or clip those corners without going through my stitching. So just take a 45-degree cut to reduce some of the bulk that we're going to have. And now we're going to turn it wrong side out. So we're going to find our open edge here, and we're going to flip it all the way around so the wrong sides are out. It's a lot of fabric to work with, so just be patient. And then try and push out those corners so you have nice, crisp corners. Being careful not to poke through your fabric or your seam. And 2. Now what I'm going to do is give this a good pressing. See how it kind of tends to roll in on itself? What we're going to do is we're going to press this so we know that there's no extra folds in there and the seam is nice and crisp. And you're going to do that all the way down your seam line. Once your seam is all pressed, we're going to do the same thing, running a seam all the way down that long edge and across the bottom that's already been sewn together. But this time, we're going to go a little bit wider than your 1/2 inch seam, about 5/8, because that's going to catch that other seam inside of it and totally encase it so that it's nice and secure. All right, we have our 2 long seams done, and now we're going to take it and turn the scarf right side out again and give it another good pressing. And what you'll see is that first seam is totally enclosed in the new one, protecting it and keeping it from fraying. Once you have it turned right side out, go ahead and push out those corners again as best you can, being careful not to poke through your seam or your fabric. Then we're going to take this open end that we have and we're going to fold it down by about an inch. So it doesn't have to be perfect, you can eyeball it, but we're going to take that raw edge and fold it down to the inside or the wrong side about an inch, and we're going to press that all the way around. Now we're going to complete our infinity loop. So I'm going to move this just for a minute. And what we'll do is we're going to take, this is our open end that's got it folded under. And now we're going to find our sewn or closed end. Okay. So we've got our end that's sewn shut and we've got our open end. And what we're going to do to just do a simple finishing is we're going to take our sewn or completed end and just slide it in to our other side. Again, we're going to put it to tuck it in about an inch. Just like this. And I'm going to pin it to keep it from going anywhere. There are other ways of closing this that take a little bit more time or a little bit fancier, but today I wanted to do something that was really simple and quick that we could finish together. So making sure to pin so nothing moves on you while you're sewing. One more in the middle here. All right. So it'll look just like this. And then what we're going to do is simply, I'm going to stitch a line right along here, real close to that folded edge. And then I'm going to do another one about a ½ inch away to really reinforce it. We are going to be sewing through something that's thicker, so take your time. If you have a walking foot, it can be helpful to use that now. Otherwise, just go slow and back stitch at each end. Okay, we have both seams done. We'll trim our extra strings here. And we have our end closed, so it's a nice loop infinity scarf. And now we can move on to our cozy cup collar. All right, now that we have finished with our infinity scarf, we're gonna move on to our coffee cup collar or our coffee cup cozy. Again, if you're gonna make this with a matching flannel, be sure to get an extra 1/4 yard of your scarf flannel so that you can match. And from that, you're gonna take, there is a PDF with this video and there's a template on there. Once you print that off, you can use that to cut out your pieces. And if you're not gonna use matching fabric or you're just gonna use scraps for your coffee cup cozy, you'll need a piece of flannel or fabric at least 10 inches by 10 inches. And this time we're gonna be using a fusible fleece. And you'll need a piece at least 10 inches by 5 inches in order to use that template. So using your template, you're gonna cut out 2 pieces from your flannel and you're gonna cut out 1 piece of your fusible fleece. The other items that you'll need are your iron, you'll need some thread. We're going to use a button for a closure. So this is a great way to use up some of those old buttons you have laying around. And you can get the really tiny, like 1/8 inch elastic, but something that many of us have lying around are these little hair ties. So we're going to use these as our elastic closure today. And I picked these up at the dollar store, or like I said, a lot of us have them just lying around the house. So to get started with our coffee cup cozy, we're going to take, and the first step is to fuse our fleece onto one piece of our flannel. Make sure our iron's nice and warm. So on your fleece, there's going to be that soft, fuzzy, fleecy side, and then you're going to notice kind of a bumpier side. That's where your adhesive is. So when you're working with it, you're going to lay that bumpy side up. And then we're going to take our flannel and put that wrong side down. And we're going to press it with the iron about 10 seconds or so in each spot. Check the instructions on your fusible fleece that you're using to make sure that you're not putting too much heat with it, just enough to get it to stick. Okay, really quick and easy. The next step we're going to do is take and make our layers here. Before we put our next piece of flannel right sides together, we're going to take that hair tie. If you're using a hair tie, you'll notice that at one place there's always that where it's been fused or glued together. That is going to go on the inside of our coffee cup cozy because it is actually the weakest point. So we're going to find that. We're going to find the center, and we're going to layer it so that our good hair tie spot goes inside like this. I will clip it so you guys can see. So like this, okay? So this is our good part of our hair tie. That's going to be sandwiched in between, good part of our elastic. And then we're going to do right sides together. And make sure we pin that elastic in place really well so it's not moving around on us. And then we can pin everything else together. So before we're ready to sew, we'll just double check. We got our fusible fleece, and then we got our 2 pieces of flannel right sides together, and our piece of elastic sandwiched in between those. We're going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way around this, but we're going to leave a couple inches on the bottom that are open so we can flip it right side out. Now we're going to take our coffee cup cozy and turn it right sides out. Make sure to push out all those curves and corners. And you can see that that fused end of the hair tie or your elastic is hidden inside. And once we have it turned around, I'm going to take and fold in our opening, that 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to press it to help hold it in place. Press it one more time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch along the edge here, just to help reinforce it and to close this opening. And the last thing we need to do now is to add our button. So let's go sew that on and we'll be all finished. All right, we have our infinity scarf done. We have our button on our coffee cozy. All you have to do now is take your elastic loop, wrap it around your button, and slide it on to your favorite cup of coffee so you can coordinate. If you enjoyed this project, tag your best friend down below and figure out what fabrics you're going to use to match each other this fall. As always, have a wonderful week and happy stitching. We'll see you next time. Bye.